Hi everyone and welcome to another video from Display Repair. Today is a bit rainy, so I hope you don't mind the extra sound effects from outside. In this video we'll be talking about how to use a trip computer on your car. We'll be showing this video on our trusted Skoda Fabia Mark 1. The same system is on the same generation Volkswagen Group cars, but even some newer cars have almost the same or similar system. So whatever car you drive, you might find this video useful. Stay tuned.
DisplayRepair.com. Be sure to visit us at our website DisplayRepair.com, where you can find more useful car and driving tips.
Now, the basic parts of the trip computer on the Skoda that you'll perhaps use or encounter is the display, which on the Skoda is located here. It's integrated within the rev counter right here, so this is the display for the information. And the second part that you should know about is the commands for the trip computer. In this case, it's located on the wiper stock right here. If you don't know how to use the windshield wipers, if you're confused about it, we've made a separate video on this topic, so I'll leave a link in the corner of this video or in the video description. The commands for the trip computer are located on the wiper stock, and you have two commands that are important. The first command is this one here, which is a switch that acts like a seesaw, so you can press it up and down. And you have this button here that says reset on it. This button is to go through the menu of the trip computer. We'll show this right now. And this button here is to reset the parameters within the trip computer. This kind of arrangement for the trip computer can be found on many cars. It might be located in some other place, but in most cases it's similar to this. Now, to show you how the trip computer actually works. I've turned on the light on the camera, so I hope you don't mind. There's a bit of reflection, but it's getting dark outside, so I don't want the video to be that bad. Anyway, the first thing you'll see on the display for the trip computer, and this is by default, is the clock and the time. Now, we're gonna show you this on the stock. We're gonna go through the menu using this button that we've shown you. So we're gonna go down in this case. To do this, we have to turn the key to run, and we'll go now one by one. The first parameter is for the outside temperature. Then we have the liter per hour setting, and this is how big the consumption is at the present moment. For instance, we'll turn on the car, see it's 0, and when we turn on the car, it is 1.6, 1.9 liters, while the car is idling. When we push the gas pedal, you see it changes. Now, the next setting shows you the consumption of your car in two ways. The first way is the one you see here, and that is the average consumption for the trip you just made. And there is another menu that shows you the overall consumption of the car. Now, as you can see, there is a small 1 and 2 going up and down the screen. That is changed by pressing the reset button down here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. See, you press the reset button and it shows you what's happening. So again, this first setting shows you the average consumption for that specific trip, and this shows you the overall consumption for a longer period of time. The next setting is how much fuel you have left. So in this case, we have fuel enough for 350 kilometers, a very useful feature that will help you stay out of trouble so you don't find yourself in a situation where you're out of gas. The next feature measures the trip distance, okay? Just like with the average fuel consumption, here you have two menus. So you have the first menu and the second menu. On the first menu, you have the distance for the trip that you've just had. So for instance, you made a trip for 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers will show up there. And on the second menu is the overall trip distance. So this is measuring the trip distance for a longer period of time. So the first menu is for the present trip and the second menu is for the overall distance you've traveled for a longer period of time. Okay, we'll get out of that menu. And then you have the data for the average speed. Again, you have a first and second menu. On the first menu, you have the average speed for the present trip, and on the second menu you have the average speed for a longer period of time. As you can see, there's a pattern for 3 of those menus. So for average speed, average consumption, and average trip distance, there are 2 menus for the overall parameters and for the temporary parameters. The next parameter would be how much time you spent on the road and on your trip. Here also you have a first and second menu. The first menu shows the time you spent on your last trip, and this also shows how much time you spent on a prolonged period of time for a couple of trips. Here also you change the menu with the reset button to 1 and 2. So this is for the last trip and this is for a longer period of time. Now, if you want to reset the data on the trip computer, you just press this reset button and hold it down. Now we're going to show you. So we're going to go, for instance, to the average fuel consumption overall. And we're going to press the reset button. And as you can see, it has reset the data. We'll show you the trip distance. It has also been reset. Here you have the average speed. It has also been reset. Here you have the average time. And as you can see, holding down the reset button for a couple of seconds will totally reset the trip computer. And now when you start your trip and when you start driving, you'll get completely new data. Now we're going to make a small trip. It's gonna be about 30 kilometers. So after that, I'll show you the data from the trip computer so you can get a better idea of how it works and how it gathers data. Now, dear viewers, we were back from that trip some time ago, and now we're going to show you the parameters of that brief trip. So we're going to turn on the ignition. You can see the time, you can see the temperature. This is the liters per hour. They're 0 because the engine is not working. And now we come to the average consumption, which on the first menu is of course 0, and on the second one is 7.1. This is again after the reset. Then again, this shows that we have 300 kilometers of driving left. And now the kilometers, on the first menu it's 0, on the second menu it's 30 kilometers overall. This is the kilometers per hour. 24 kilometers per hour. That was the average speed that we've driven on the last trip. This is how much the trip lasts, 1 hour and 16 minutes. And that's that. So very simple. When you reset all of the parameters with the trip button, it starts all over again and it shows new parameters. So, dear viewers, as you've seen, using the trip computer and learning how to use it is nothing complicated. Far from it. It's no more complicated than learning how to use an old school digital watch. But the more important thing when using a trip computer is to actually use the data wisely that you get from the trip computer. I'll make a couple of examples. For instance, you have the parameter for how much gas you have left in the gas tank. This is very useful if you're driving on a remote road. If there's a risk of you running out of gas, with this parameter, at least you'll know when to call help, if you should call help, and in what kind of situation you'll be. Next, you have the parameter for the trip distance. For instance, you'll know how much more you have to drive to get to your destination. When you know that, you can plan for a break, for a pause or something like that, and avoid driver's fatigue and those sorts of problems. Then you have the time you've spent in the car. If you've spent, in non-stop driving for 4 or 5 hours or something like that, then you can also see that you should make a pause and make a break from driving and refresh yourself. And then you have the parameter for the overall fuel consumption, the menu number 2 on the fuel consumption, if you remember. On the Skoda, it shows an overall fuel consumption of 6.5 liters for a longer period of time. This is okay, this is fine, but if I was to see 10, 11, 12 liters or something like that, that is abnormal, then I would know that there's something wrong with the engine or some of the engine systems, and that I should make an inspection as soon as possible. All in all, very useful information, especially if you know how to use it on infotainment systems. You have even more information, I think. So one last thing I want to say about this, and that is when you learn to use the trip computer, don't go through all the menus while driving. It's a big distraction. I've seen people go through these menus like dozens of times during driving. Do it here and there, see what you need, and that's that. Again, if you use it all the time, it's a big distraction and it can be dangerous to do it that way. So that's it for this time. I hope this video helps like all the other videos. If you find the time, please like and subscribe. It's a huge help for what we're doing. Also watch our other videos where I think you'll find lots of other useful car and driving related videos. Thank you for watching and thank you for your time.